Good evening, Danvers. Welcome to the Topics of the Town News on October 17th, 2024. Today I have very good host and co-host. I'm the host. We have Tony Betancourt as our resident commentator.
Yes.
And today we have a special guest, our Isaiah Young. He's a former Danvers High School Danvers School Department student, and you grew up in town. Would you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do right now?
I'm Isaiah Young. I'm 20 years old right now. I work at a bank. I'm going to North Shore Community College and getting my degree. And yeah.
And you know what? That is a smart attitude, going to North Shore Community, because is it free now?
Tuition's free in Massachusetts.
See, There you go.
You gotta use the opportunities.
We had to pay $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year to go to school, and you're getting it, and that's the way to do it. So welcome. I asked Isaiah to be on the show because I needed a clear perspective of what our education system is all about. And just for your information, we have special treats here for us. Tony, you have 2 apples over there.
Wow, 2 apples. Am I special?
Yeah, you are special. And Isaiah has an apple, and I have an apple that I'm bringing to the teacher.
Oh, okay.
Because this morning I had a meeting. I was going to say audience, but it's a meeting with Dan Bauer, our superintendent. And Dan Bauer was very gracious in meeting me because I wanted to talk to him about the contents of what we have in our show today.
Okay.
And I wanted to let him know that Isaiah is coming.
Okay.
And he recognized you by height.
There we go. I'll take that as a compliment.
So you're the tall guy in the crowd. So today I am going to go in a little different fashion, but I still want to do my introduction. The agenda and opinions are solely by the Topics of the Town host, our guests, contributors, and commentators. And today's quote, and I'm repeating this quote for the second time in the last month, is inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. That is something that I think we need to express to our audience and to our young people in town, that we need to be active. We need to be productively active. Now, we'll get into a little story that we've gone through, but the second portion of this quote, and Ben, if you can throw up the style. Style is knowing who you are, what you want to say, and not giving a damn. Because you need to express your own views, and whether people accept it or not, that's tough. But you have your own perspective of what you are and who you are. And this is a quote that was found by me from Gore Vidal. And that's a long time ago. So he was there. Now, the last piece of this puzzle, and if we can put my friendly Albert Einstein quote, Einstein was correct when he said, "I fear the day that technology will surpass a human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots.
And what intuition you have with that, huh?
And this was over 100 years
That's what
ago.
I'm saying.
I mean, he was
what intuition,
so
really, you know?
accurate in his prediction. But what I found in addition to that, and this is something that we talked about with Isaiah here, is American transition to, listen to that, idiocracy, running ahead of schedule. And this was a article that I found that was quoted by Majority Leader Chuck Schumer from
Really?
the federal Senate. We become morons much more quickly than we anticipated, said Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Though it initially seemed like an impossible feat, our hard work to turn the United States into a nation governed by total imbeciles is nearly complete.
That's for sure.
We're succeeded in weeding out the country's best and brightest and replaced them with drooling dolts. There's now light at the end of the tunnel. The dream of a nation run entirely by idiots is within reach. This goes right back to Einstein. And we are being trained into a succumbed position to the idiocracy that's happening around us. Hopefully, the generation that you're coming from will bring us back to reality because we have gone down that road too far.
Yes, I agree
So,
with that.
having Isaiah here, I wanted to present a reintroduction of my education department questions and answers that have been developed over the years. As you know, I've had visions of running for school committee and got defeated, but that's okay because I tell the truth and nobody wants to hear the truth. The most significant issue of our town is education responsibility, and it is the expansion and growth of the Danvers school budget and the lack of state support to our hard-working taxpayers. And as you know, I have always been a hound dog chasing the dollar in every budget and making sure that we get our piece of it, because we all work hard to get the taxes that we pay, to earn the taxes that we pay, and somebody needs to care about that, and that's where I'm going.
It's got to be spent wisely.
Wisely and
Smart.
well, smarter is not always the wisely is very appropriate. You're coming on to the real world because you're no longer in the education system and you're in a different education system. The thing that I have always been told is that you become more realistic after you start paying taxes. And
That's
the
what I was
thing
gonna
is,
say.
we talked about that earlier. How do you feel about that?
Well, like right now, I don't pay too much in taxes. I don't have to pay property tax at all. But I do have to pay rent. But about that, there's not much I have an opinion on as it relates to tax.
Okay, fine. And what I want to do is I want to move on with this subject. And Danvers School Administration and current management failed our taxpayers. Now, we have been fighting and debating the Essex Agricultural School issue because we're draining our student population to Essex Tech, to Fenwick, to St. John's Prep, but people are paying double for that education
yes.
because they're paying their taxes to the town.
Yes.
and they're also paying tuition.
Yes.
But I think when they do that, they get the value for their investment into their children.
I agree with that 100%.
And the town manager, and I hate to pick on the town manager,
Right.
he's leaving, but that's okay. We need to identify where the problems have started. And I remember when I was on the board with Wayne Marquis, he had the budget right there, and he cared about what was going on. Town manager did not control the costs, and he has a responsibility to control the overall budget.
They were nickel and diming us to death, and they still are. I'm hoping the new one will take care of us better.
I hope so too. Taxpayers did not get their money's worth.
I agree with that.
Recent and persistent infusion of town and state funding produced no improvement in the school plan. This morning, and well, this last week or so, I have been searching and destroying the internet sites for MCAS justification for the investment that we have made.
I don't think you're going to find it.
Well, Isaiah and I talked about it earlier. Why don't you tell us a little about what you've been able to find?
Yeah, you can't find much on MCAS scores on DESE. All you can really find on DESE is like statistics on our budgeting and our student population.
Student population, the salaries of
Yeah.
teachers, the number of students, racially divided into something like 7 or 8 different groups. I mean, come on, people. We're all a all-inclusive community. What are we doing? The state is dictating all of this. And the issue that I have, the Danvers school system remains a state-run and operated establishment of the past because of the legislative actions that our representatives and senators have led us into that situation with the Department of Education. Now, we have a Department of Education for the state. We have a Department of Education for the federal government. They all want to get their 2 cents worth. We have the school committee that really doesn't have much to do because they have no responsibility. Because DESE, or the Department of Education, is telling them what to do. And they comply. School committee elections do nothing to reflect a Danvers twist to state-run establishment of education. The only function of the school committee is to request and authorize the funding from taxpayers of Danvers. And I will give you a personal experience. I was only one resident that was present at the school committee meeting when the superintendent and we talked about that in the past, sat there and presented the budget, and the only comment that the administration had at that time on the budget is that they are spending more and more money on special education. My question was, how much and how well are we going to improve the lives of the 95, 97% of the rest of the students? And the thing is, there was no answer.
You know why there's no answer?
What?
The reason being is my thinking is special education, it like trumps everything, so they can get away by using that to hide the figures. That's what I think.
That's because we allow it to happen.
Right, but I think that's what happens, my honest opinion.
Well, let's go through some of the 4 items that I have on here, 5 I think. Performance of MCAS scores. I investigated DESE data without success, and you're confirming that.
Yeah, that's true. I've been on DESE. No MCAS scores at all.
Prior year's results on MCAS were well below the state averages. I had information from 3 or 4 years ago where the ranking of the school system in Danvers went down by 60 or 70 slots.
I'm not sure if I'm 100% sure. I think it's about 34%, I heard.
Well, Well, 34% is where we rank at.
Right.
And we used to be at 90, 95.
You would hope so with all the money we spend.
Well, that's true, but we were also, what happened, and you have to go back 30 years, because Danvers school system was excellent at that time.
Yes, a lot of people.
Because we had very good administration that was very caring of the population. I had my kids, you had your kids, you had your kids
Yes,
growing
my kids went to
through.
high school and stuff.
You were not even born then.
Not even conceived.
But the thing is that the school department had a reputation of being the best in the North Shore.
It did.
The best
That's
in
why.
the
A lot of people-
eastern part
yes.
of the state. However, what
They're still
has
trying to
hap-
sell that today, though, I think.
It's what?
I think they're still trying to sell it. I don't think it's as good, but I think they're still trying to sell
let
it.
let me get to my
Okay,
point
sorry.
here. The point is that we're living on the past laurels of what the department was at one time, and we are sacrificing our real estate taxes because everybody thinks that because the school system used to be great, we need to increase our taxes to make it as great as it was in the past. It doesn't work that way.
It's not happening.
We need, what did you say earlier? What do we need to?
We need stable leadership.
There you go.
I moved here 7 years ago, and ever since I've experienced not only within the school but in the town hall multiple different administrations.
Right.
And so once we have, in my belief, once we have an administration that's there for at least 3, 4, 5 years and who show that they can care and are consistently improving results, then we're going to see a lot of the problems in this town start to go away.
You see, we're reflecting on our laurels from the past, because I can go back to Wayne Marquis, and Wayne and I didn't always agree on everything, but since his retirement, things have changed. And the thing is, that's when you had the stable government that cared about the residents. And every resident was known to the town manager pretty much. He used to be able to identify what your problem was and solve it before you even got to his office. So that's how it was. But let's move on, because there are other subjects that are driving this. And one of the things that I found on the website, and I knelt to the altar of websites. I went to the Danvers Danvers school system website, and it's that the key to the whole website is social justice resources. And everything is racial issues. And we talked about that earlier. The racial issues, the books that are identified on this website. And all of this really leads into the dictates of the State Department of Education. And they are driving, this is not a Danvers school system anymore. This is a Massachusetts Board of Education system. And the thing is that everybody seems to comply with it because they don't know what to do with it.
No, I think as Riz is, they're looking for the money, right? They're looking for funds, they're looking for grants and stuff.
It's all about money.
That's what I'm
right.
trying to get at. So that's why they go this way. And them not making us better, they're making us worse. But they keep going after these grants, and they get these grants, and then we end up paying after the grants, and it's a mess.
Well, as you know, I have been a pain in the neck to the departments, and school department I have left alone for almost a year now, because I got fed up with what was going on, and I think it needs attention. It needs some clarity, and that's why I approached Dan Bauer, and we have communicated about this morning, as a matter of fact, and I also extended an invitation for Dan Bauer to come on the show Probably in second show in November,
Okay.
which will be just before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So that'll be a good time for us to explore some of these issues.
Let me ask you, Mark, what did you think about Mr. Bauer? Do you think he's going to make a change? Do you think he's a good attitude for us? So, what's your feeling? I'm just curious.
Mr. Bauer is an impressive individual because he's the football coach that I saw in the beginning when they were interviewing them. He is not a change type individual because he is more liable to comply with the directives because all his reasoning is I have to comply with the state regulation. I have to comply with the laws of the state of Massachusetts. Well, it's about time we start breaking those laws.
Well, we got to take care of Danvers.
That's the whole point. The whole point, but you can't do that overnight.
No, I
So
know
he is a work in progress.
that. I heard he was a good man, so I'm hoping
He
that,
is.
Okay.
He is very well versed. However, I don't know whether he can make the changes that we would like to see. He may come partial way. So that may be a change in itself.
And hopefully with the new town manager will help a lot because the town manager has a lot to do with it too, right? The way they direct
Absolutely.
them,
Our town manager let us down because what he complied over the last 10 years, every year, there was no question about adding money to the budget. There was never any reduction.
No, that's not what we wanted to do. It seems like, trash, $10 here, $10 there. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh, wait, we're coming up with some more.
Oh, come on.
We'll get some more. So, I talked to Dan this morning, and one of the things that we talked about is outcome-based education. That was the trigger word that was being bantered around for the last 10, 15 years. It is a education type process. However, it has what I feel, and I'll let you guys can talk about it all you want, but education now passe did not produce the expectations that were identified 10, 15 years ago. Education is being dumbed down to a lower level to DEI standards. Diversity, equity, and inclusion has taken over our education system. And the problem is that by taking it over, we are lowering our standards.
If you notice, the federal government's doing the same thing. We're having a lot of problems in the federal government with DEI. The same thing. Look at what's going on right now with the Secret Service. Okay,
The military.
military. I mean, come on. I mean, someone's got to wake up here. It's not the right thing. We want the best and the brightest.
Well, we can talk about the additional issue that just happened this last week at the Board of Selectmen meeting. Now, I don't know if you've seen it. You've seen it.
Yes,
I've seen
it's
it.
all over Facebook.
This was a incident that has been brewing for years. And the thing is that, and I'll call them what they are, the hoodlums are out there.
They call them the bike mafia. That's what they call them.
It is. And the thing is, people are afraid of them because if they get involved with the kids, they'll just beat up some elderly person or woman, and like there was expressed.
They're very rude. I mean, I've had a couple, do the wheelie on the bike, and you think you stop to hit the brakes because you think they're going to come at you. You don't want to hit them, and they're very rude to you or whatever. I mean, they look at you like you did something wrong, and you're trying to be protective because if you hit them, you know what's going to happen. They're going to sue you.
The problem that I see, and I don't know what you guys see, but the police department has been instructed by our management to ignore or avoid contradicting these individuals because they did not want to get into a pissing contest.
I think you might be right, but you know something? We got to get back to have cops on the beat watching. I mean, back when we grew up, that's what they had. Okay, we don't have that. We started off too. Didn't they buy bikes? Didn't we have a bike patrol? I don't see anybody on bikes anymore. Do you?
We do. We have at least 3 bikes sitting in the garage there.
Well, I don't know. I mean, not to be funny. Now the weather's changing. You're not going to be able to use them eventually. But I mean, I don't know. It's not up to me. I don't know who's the manager. We keep saying manager. I don't know. Someone's in charge somewhere. I don't know where he is.
Well, as you know, the police chief and the fire chief are appointed by the town manager, and they dance to the tune that the town manager plays for them.
Well, the tune is not right.
Well, you're absolutely right, but I think that's one thing that was missing the other night. Where was the police chief?
They could have sent a police officer. No one showed up. It's ridiculous. I got a funny feeling they didn't want to answer any questions. I don't know. It's not the right way. It's not what's showing the caring of a town. I mean, come on. They had everything. 3 stations carried it. Look at a bunch of morons.
Well, I avoided bringing my camera because I didn't think it was.
I thought it was you when they said it was filming.
Well, I tried to, but I just didn't see. I knew what was going to happen.
I don't know. I heard them say, "Who's filming anyways?" I heard them ask that. I thought it was you.
It was Channel 10.
Channel 10.
And that's been over the New England area. Basically.
They all carried it. 4, 5, 7, 10. All had them.
This is similar to our hockey team.
We got to get Fox in on it.
Fox is not going to touch it. So
Fox 25.
Outcome-based education has basically been implemented in our town, and that was through the last superintendent and in her existence, and didn't work. But nobody wanted to adjust. So now we have a new superintendent. So
we got to give him a chance. We got to give him a chance.
He hasn't adjusted anything yet, but he's talking the right talk.
Good.
So what we need to do is bring him along to our way of thinking. The issue that I wanted to bring up as a result of the this is the social justice resources. That's the key to the Danvers school system. Now, to bring in discipline to our students, parents have to get involved. And our town needs to get involved and get out of this DEI organization, which is probably costing us $150,000 to $200,000. What are they accomplishing?
Wow.
They can put 2 cops out there on the square and get that done.
For that kind of money, maybe 3, because they don't get paid much when they start.
That's right. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Understood.
Okay. The next question is SEL, social and emotional learning. Now, that is a new buzzword, and I don't know. Did you have social SEL in school? I mean, can you give us an idea of what do you think it was?
So, from my understanding of SEL, it's a really broad scope of learning it's been in my elementary school, middle school, high school, all throughout my entire schooling career. A lot of it has to do with skill building and personal relationship building, handling, learning how to communicate with each other, learning how to build time schedules, learning how to keep track of things. Some of it has to do with identity.
Is that electronic or manual?
What do you mean?
Phone, computer?
Everything's computer now.
So everything's done on a computer?
Oh, yeah.
Even this here, this format's on a computer?
Well, I mean, we're lectured to. Okay. Most of the time, a lot of this time is a teacher or adult coming to speak to us.
Okay.
But, yeah, everything's on computer,
that's why, yeah.
Screen.
You should get Einstein to come into your classroom, and I think he'll teach you a few things.
I bet he would.
So that's Einstein, and I stick to it. I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots.
How about discipline? There's no discipline?
Well, I don't really know.
No, I'm not being funny.
No.
Back when I went to school, If you were a troublemaker, you went down and you got the rat hand. Okay, you had to stick your hand out and they give you it was a stick. I don't know. I've seen it happen, but I never got it myself.
It's a ruler.
The ruler, yes.
Yeah, ruler.
My mom tells me about the ruler. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
There's no more ruler. That's what I was saying. There's no ruler.
You can't do that anymore. You get arrested, right?
Corporal punishment does not exist, and which is right too. The thing is that parents do not take their responsibility for bringing up their kids, and parents, they claim that they don't have time to bring up their kids, so they send them to daycare, they send them to kindergarten, and now we have a batch of kindergarten kids that are probably approaching 200 kids.
That much right now?
Yeah.
Wow. That was only half a day, but when the full day, right? We have a full day.
Yeah, we have a full day. Yeah. And we're into 3,373 students in this year's population.
Is that counting the ones that Essex Tech too?
No. That's totally independent.
Okay, I'm just curious.
That's 260 some students over there. So you're talking about realistic numbers. They're into the 3,600, 3,700 students.
Have we maxed out at every school, or you don't know that? Just curious.
The DESE information that's presented is that our classrooms are loaded up with 17 to 18 students.
That's not bad.
As an average. But there are schools that have 10 or 12 in grammar school, and in middle school, I think it's up a little higher. I don't know, how many do you have in class in middle school?
My homeroom about 20.
So there's a 20 number.
Okay.
And the DESE gives you the statistics, but you don't know what the heck they mean. That's the problem. And that's why I asked Dan Bauer to provide to us he has a presentation that they've made, and he says, I'll send it to you. I said, fine, then we'll use it. But I want him to come on and explain it, because it takes time. Parents do not take time to bring up their kids, and use the school system as a babysitting outfit in many cases, whether it's a 18-year-old or 17-year-old or a 2-year-old. They use it as a babysitting outfit. So the thing is, teachers want to teach,
yes,
but they have so many other responsibilities that are loaded up on them.
I think it's more complex today. I mean, when we were growing up, I think it was much easier. Teachers loved, they didn't look for the money. They looked to teach, and they loved the kids. That's what it seemed to me, I'll be honest with you. Today, I'm not saying it's much different, but I'm not 100% sure. It seems like with all the laws and all the stuff that go into it, makes it a different situation, I think.
Okay, let me just have a few minutes.
Go ahead.
This is an article that I found, Social Emotional Learning Sparks Concern Among Massachusetts Parents. Why are parents concerned about SEL? Here we go back to SEL. Despite its nice-sounding name, parents have real reasons to object to SEL instruction. SEL lessons shift the emphasis from education to emotions, a change that many parents view as neither healthy nor appropriate for public school classrooms, especially given that many schools are struggling with teaching basic reading, writing, and math skills. They are focusing on making every student feel good because they're part of the team. They're part of the class. They're part of the Great Oak School or Riverside School. And the thing is, they're not focusing on the basics that they would have to teach.
I know, because if you go somewhere and you give someone... Kids don't even know how to give change today. It's sad. They have to pull out their phone and start doing stuff. If the register can't tell them what to do, they're in trouble.
Isaiah, you are a banker at the moment.
At the moment, yes.
At the moment, you are
I was
a
just
banker.
in that situation like 6 months ago, though. My first job in town was at Kathmandu. The first time I was behind that cash register, I mean, it was my first time. I didn't know how to really handle the cash.
So what was lacking in your education in the Danvers school system?
Well, I mean, we never sit behind cash registers in school. So like,
Don't you add and subtract
yeah.
on your checkbook or?
Well, a lot of it's shifted towards. Now that we have technology,
here we go.
This is
Einstein, you're coming aboard.
We had the times tables. We memorized them up to a certain amount of things.
So this is actually something that. So in elementary school, it was encouraged to memorize our times tables. It was encouraged to do mental math.
You did?
Yes, of course, it was encouraged. But around 5th grade, one of my teachers, it wasn't in Danvers, old school system, told me that you don't have to rely on mental math now because we have calculators, and calculators aren't going anywhere. So, yeah. So I don't think I think there's a less reliance on mental math and more a reliance on using and learning how to use calculators and different pieces of technology.
At my graduation exams that I took at Northeastern in 1973, we were forbidden to bring calculators into the exam because we needed to be able to understand, comprehend, and analyze the problem that we were dealing with. And it's not just the punching numbers in. Now everything becomes computer. That's why we have such a dumb system.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, really, it's crazy because I mean, a lot of people can't give you change. I mean, it's sad. I mean, and it's an easy thing. I mean, I don't know. They should be taught that. I mean,
it's a quick skill to pick up.
Exactly.
After a week or two, you get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, they should teach that in school. Even kids can't write cursive today. I'm surprised they can write their name. I mean, it's another
would
problem.
that help?
I think my grade was the last grade I got to learn my signature in cursive, and that was it.
Palmer
And
method.
what grade was that at?
3rd grade. I don't know how long ago.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious. Yeah,
Yeah, 3rd
penmanship,
grade.
Basically, we used to have good penmanship. You know what I mean? Back then, that's how I remember. I mean, but that
So-
was a long time ago.
So let's move on here because this is getting interesting.
All right, it is. I mean,
This is not surprising when one learns that SEL, and we're talking about SEL, this is social emotional learning, and you're saying that that's part of the whole curriculum because it's integrated into every subject.
Yeah, but it doesn't take away from like school time. There's not like I'd say the most SEL time we have is health class, but even then it's not SEL. It's like here, like this is how you.
Well, I'm glad
handle
you.
your emotions,
I'm glad you
or
brought
blah,
up
blah,
the
blah.
health class, because that has been a concern of a lot of parents in this town, that the health class is taking the responsibility of the parent and having the teacher teach the children about sex education, about bananas and cucumbers and all that. This is getting ridiculous. But
Yeah.
is that what you went through?
A little bit, yeah. Not the bananas and whatever, but I'd say I'm learning about sex education middle school, especially at Danvers Middle School. We have excellent health teachers. One of them even won National Health Teacher of the Year a few years back. They're incredible, and they specifically work on sex education. So, that's,
you mean they actually teach you sex education, basically?
Yes.
yeah.
Really?
That's right.
I learned anatomy of myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's a biology class.
Yeah.
It's not a health class. And the thing is that biology, we used to take biology.
We still
we still do.
Yes, biology is required, I think, in DHS freshman year.
But that's not where you learn sex education in biology class. So it's enough said. We have it on the table.
We got biology still.
All right. Another concern involves the data collection of students within SEL programs, which alarms parents regarding the potential privacy violations. There's all kinds of questionnaires that are thrown out and collected, and the teacher pumps it into the system, and they report everything that the students say. Additionally, there is a apprehension that SEL expects teachers to take on the role of the therapists. Now, we in Danvers have a whole bunch of psychologists that have been hired even back in 1997, because I fought that battle at the time with Mary, the school. McLaughlin, that's right. Mary McLaughlin and I had our interaction at that time. Mom McLaughlin. And psychologists were coming out dime a dozen because they wanted to take care of the children. Where are the parents? But that's another issue.
All this stuff sounds expensive. That's all
It
I
is.
can say.
It is. We were talking about the school budget for the Danvers school system, the state school system. I'm sorry, I should not use Danvers school system because we have very little to do except funding it. The school system in Danvers costs $46 or $47 million that is supported by the school committee, that they are responsible for salaries, wages, books, and stuff like that. There's another $27 million that the town supplements to maintenance of the schools, maintenance of the fields, building of the schools, funding the schools. So you're talking about $60 to $65 million a year. In this past year, that's 60 or 70% of the town budget.
That's half the budget, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
right?
it's more than half.
Okay.
So, additionally, there is an apprehension that SEL expects teachers to take the role of therapists. Psychological probing
Here we go. Going with the big
by
words.
untrained individuals can negatively impact the child's mental health and well-being, making it understandable why the aspect of SEL raises red flags for parents. And this whole article is all about the SEL there's some questions, and this is something that I cannot comprehend why our school committee, and I know why, because they want the money. There's always a grant in hand that has to be funded later on by the town. Is SEL required in every mass school? The answer is no. While DESE is clear in its endorsement of SEL, and every school is encouraged to integrate SEL competencies into the curriculum, there is no Massachusetts law requiring schools to do so. However, if a school committee has voted to adopt the Safe and Supportive Schools, SEL, framework per Mass General Law, here we go, the legislature is getting into our back pocket again, the school is then required to integrate services and initiatives that address student behavioral health, including SEL. Also, certain state and federal grants might reference SEL as a requirement. So if a school accepts a grant that requires SEL instruction, they are obligated to fulfill the term of the grant. And this is a complete list of all of the questions that are related. And you and I talked about that. And the thing is that I have investigated the school department's grant money that they go for. And in some years, it's $2 to $3 million in grants. But those grants then have to be converted into a budget that you and I, and maybe you, will be paying in our real estate taxes. So that is a synopsis of what I've been doing here. But an SEL program is not necessary to teach and affirm positive traits like kindness, fairness, and respect. And when it comes to the expense of parental rights and smuggles in progressive ideology, it's not worth the trade-off. Kids deserve and parents should demand a renewed focus on the education, not indoctrination. And that's been my whole point behind this whole article, because I think it's so important for our students not to be indoctrinated into the philosophy that is being expanded on the federal and state level. What about our residents in Danvers? Danvers has a reputation of having a good school system, but they're living on their laurels from 30 years ago.
From past.
So, that's the end of that discussion, and I've had the same discussion with Dan Bauer, and he was listening, nodding his head, and he didn't say much. But I've invited him to come onto our show in the second show in November, and you are also invited, because I think we need the perspective of, we're old
Exactly.
old geezers.
Well, remember, we used to get slapped on the hand with the.
Well, no, I had the nuns get my knuckles,
Okay, see what I'm saying?
and then they wanted me to be a priest. So, we are under a new superintendent, and we're in a situation that has changed, hopefully. And he's been in his office now since July of 23.
So
So it's
year
a
or so?
year and
Okay,
3-4
okay.
months.
So now we should start to see the pay.
Now, the thing is,
We're
the
hoping.
payoff is going
That's
to
what I'm
be, what is he going to change for the entire system? It's not going to happen instantaneously, but there has to be a path to what the goals are. And I hope they're not the goals of the State Department of Education.
Well, that's what seems like
They're-
all the time.
They have to be our own Danvers goals. And that's where the school committee, the unelected or the volunteer school committee, let's call it that, because the school committee right now is made up of 5 individuals. Eric Crane is
Right,
the
we have,
long,
I think we have 5 men now too, right? No ladies at
5
all.
men. That's
No
right.
women.
The ladies bailed out because
Yes.
they didn't think they could accomplish anything, and they wouldn't even talk to the press at that time. But we have 5 individuals. Eric Crane is on there. He's been there for 18 years.
Yes,
And maybe what I'll do is I'll ask Eric to come on
that's a good idea.
at the same time, because schools are going to become an issue.
Let me ask you a question though. Now the new town manager, does he have any say in that, or you don't know that for sure? He
The
does.
school department has a policy or a legal standing for the town manager in regard to negotiations of contracts and the budget.
Okay.
That's it. He does not have any policy setting for education. Education is
But he can recommend.
education is dictated by the state.
Okay.
So just remember in
curious.
your own
Yeah.
mind, it's not a Danvers school system, it's the state
Well,
school
that I'm
system.
starting to understand now.
Okay, I will continue that message. Now, we have a few minutes left.
I don't think I'll go 5:48. No.
It's what?
Him
Well,
5:48.
if you're ready to go, you're ready to go. I mean,
Yeah, I gotta get back home.
Okay.
Well, thank you
Thank you,
very
of
much for
course.
being with us,
I'm
and
not trying to be funny,
No, I don't. Thank you for.
I don't want to mess you up.
we'll talk about you now.
Yeah, now we're gonna badmouth. Now that you're leaving.
So now that we have an empty seat, let's talk to it.
Okay.
The issue that I want to bring up is that our MCAS question number 2 on our
Oh, okay.
election ballot,
Number 2.
number 2 is
And that's
about
a no, right?
and that is a no. What I have gone through, and I just want to go through this a little bit more detail. because there are 5 questions.
Yes.
And state auditors' authority to audit the legislation is question number 1. And that one, I personally recommend a yes vote on that. I don't know how the legislature got away all these years without being audited by their own organization, which is representing us. The second question is elimination of MCAS as high school graduation requirement. We have to be careful, and Dan made it very clear to me this morning that all this is elimination of MCAS as a high school graduation requirement. He is all engrossed in the fact that MCAS is going to stay, but what purpose is it going to have? It's not a graduation requirement. So this one, we should vote no, because we should not eliminate, because this is the only measuring stick.
Yes, that they're doing a good job and they're working for it. Otherwise, you give them a pass. Is that right?
That's right. And the question I raised to Dan this morning, too, is how many kids did we set back, stayed back in class? He couldn't answer that.
Well, they usually don't.
He wouldn't answer that. They don't want to.
No.
Okay, so that's number 2. So the first question is a yes. Second question is a no.
Definitely no.
Third question is unionization for transportation network drivers. Stay out of private business. That's for the Uber and
What do they want to do? Get tax?
They want to unionize them because the taxi medallions are being worthless now.
Well, they already ruined the restaurants with the liquor license. I mean, I guess why don't they just ruin everything? What the heck?
So the answer to this question is no. Number 4 is limited legalization or regulation of certain natural psychedelic substances. We've gone from marijuana now to psychedelic mushrooms. So why don't we just authorize everything and let them have fun? The answer is no.
No.
And the 5th question is minimum wage for tipped workers.
That's
Come
no.
on, let's
Come on,
get
let us-
out of the private sector and have the state stick their nose into something that's worthwhile. And the other questions, they didn't make it, for one thing, because there was a...
Isn't there one something about guns?
That's not going to happen until 26.
Oh, okay.
Because they missed the deadline with the number of signatures. And that was one of the things that I sat in last night.
Oh, so they didn't get enough signatures?
They didn't get enough signatures in time
To stop
because the governor, in her wisdom,
Okay.
advanced the authorization to implement that law. And by 2 weeks, I think she made it early. So they didn't have enough signatures at this
So what
time.
does this law go into effect or not? I'm just
Yes,
curious.
it's already in effect.
It's in effect now already?
Yeah.
So what's the law?
The law is about, control of your firearms and licensure of your firearms, and certain firearms you can't have. You have anything about the firearms?
Yeah, the only thing that escaped was flintlocks.
Flintlocks are exempt.
That's correct.
That's right. And everything else has got bullets, basically.
Really?
And that's...
So if you get a flintlock with the leaded ball,
Yeah.
you can use that.
Yeah. And that's by historical presence.
You
So,
can find one, I don't know.
well, he's got one.
All right.
So, the questions are very simple. Number 1 is yes. Number 2, 3, 4, and 5 are no's. Okay. We have 4 minutes. We don't have much time.
Exactly.
But I just want to address the issue of the town manager resignation again. And what I understand from this last meeting, There was very contentious in regard to the incident, in regard to the disabled individual that was attacked by the hoodlums that are out there on bicycles.
Yes.
They're, you know what they are? They are middle school and early high school kids. I know that's what they are, and they are obnoxious.
And the thing is, they're going to get worse. They got to control them now.
Because the police has been instructed to ignore it. And the thing is, maybe what we should do is invite the police chief to come on board. But he won't come right now because he doesn't have a cheerleader in the White House.
Maybe now's the time to get him.
Maybe we should go and see him.
Maybe it's the time to get him, because otherwise the leader gets in the White House, might not let him, go.
Maybe what we should do is take these apples and over to the police chief and see if we can,
Because the police department in Danvers has always been number one, top
Yes.
rank. Okay, I mean, I know they are in so many ways. I mean, this here to me is a no-brainer. I mean, something's got to happen. We got to do something here. Okay, we got to get cops walking the beat or whatever. And really, I mean, something has to happen.
The issues that I see in regard to the town manager is that currently the select board, which really is Dan Bennett as the chief.
Well, we had before. Now we got Mr. Gardner's gone. That is a big thing, okay? Because before was a rubber stamp, 3-2 automatic. Okay. Right now, I don't know, honestly. Okay? I'm hoping that we have 3-2 intelligently taking care of the town. Okay.
There's still the saying on the street, 2 down, 2 more to go.
And another thing too, I think another problem was, honestly, the downtown committee never should have been dismantled. I don't know why.
That's because they didn't want to hear from them.
I have a funny feeling you're right.
Yep.
They wanted to control up at the White House, and it didn't work out good, I don't think.
All right. One thing that I want to express and very quickly is last show, 2 weeks ago, we had a clip or a segment in regard to Sandy Beach.
Yes.
Sandy Beach has been rejuvenated again for some reasons. People have more questions than they had last time. And the thing is, I'm going to follow up with Aaron Henry and who's the recreation director?
Mountain.
David Mountain. David Mountain gave me a straight scoop answer, and then I got convoluted answer from Aaron Henry in regard to why Sandy Beach was basically closed this last season. And it was not closed just because it was contaminated. That's not the reason. The reason they had voted no funding.
There you go.
And that's not the first year. This is like 3 years old now.
And I keep telling you, that is a gym. It's a gym over there. I mean, we don't have a beach. I mean, I don't know. There's so many things that could be done. Okay, that's the problem.
All right. Last thing, town manager search committee has been appointed, and I believe it's Maureen and Dan.
I think you're right.
I'm not sure. No, Mike and Maureen, maybe. We'll see. But the one thing that I didn't hear is, what about the residents that should be appointed to that committee, because it's not just the selectmen, it's the entire town that provides the direction to that town manager.
I know, but in this town, I mean, really, you have to have the right person, because some people have their heads twisted in the wrong way. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean,
we'll bring this up to Mr. Bennett, and we will address the issues.
Hey, another thing too, we're going to make it.
Quickly.
I went to the meeting yesterday on that
town charter.
Town charter. I'm hoping on a town charter that they get away from that. The town moderator with the voice resignation. Got to get away from that.
Okay. Thank you, Danvers. We'll see you.